Hello, welcome to the Hidden Gems screencast. My name is Arden Thomas. I'm the Cincom Smalltalk product manager. Hidden Gems is where we show you capabilities of the product that you may or may not be aware of, but we know you'll benefit from. So today begins a 3-part Build It series, and we're going to show you how to get some data. We're going to actually build something in Cincom Smalltalk. And we'll show you some techniques, some best practices, some design decisions. So if you're new or newer to Cincom Smalltalk, this should be very beneficial. And even if you're a veteran, this should be a reminder or a refresher of some best practices and maybe of some value if you haven't done this type of thing. So we wanna build something useful, and we'll show you how to do it. So part 1, we're going to acquire and load some data into Cincom Smalltalk. So let's start with what we're going to look for. We're going to get some economic data, and there's a website for that called FRED. This stands for Federal Reserve Economic Data, and this is the website. Now, if we look down right here to popular series, let's find, for example, unemployment rate. Now we can go to this and say max, and we've got the max. This is the unemployment data, and we can download it. We'll choose CSV, that's for comma separated values. That is the easiest to parse and load. So we can see we've got 2 columns here. Format that a little better. So we have the date, and you can see this is monthly since 1948 and what the unemployment rate is. And we go all the way down to, if we scroll down to the bottom, we get April 1st, 2023. And we can see the unemployment rate is fairly low, which we can also see in the graph right here. Okay, so that's where we're going to get the data from. I've downloaded that. It's in my download directory, and we'll show you how to get that into Cincom Smalltalk. Let's go right over here to your browser icon and open the browser. We're going to, these are our packages. We're going to create a package, say new package, and we'll call it FRED data. Okay. We've created a package. Okay. Now in here are classes. Let's create a new class. We'll call it FRED. We can call it whatever we want. What I eventually want, well, let me just go ahead and I'll say FRED superclass is object. That's okay. I'm not going to include any instance variables. Right now we're going to build some class-side methods, which I'll show you. So now we have the FRED class in the FRED data package. Package can be a collection of classes and methods. So we have our package. We'll just create right now one thing, and I'm opening up a workspace. What I want to do is say something like FRED, unemployment data. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So that's my goal, is to send the message unemployment data to FRED and get that series that we saw, so I can work with that data. So let me do this. Let me copy this right here, Control C. Come over here. I'm going to create, let's see, new. This is a category, and we can categorize our code methods. And I'm going to create a method, unemployment data. Okay. I'm going to Control S, which is the same as hitting the accept right here. So now I have a method, unemployment data. The first thing I want to do is get that file. So let's see, the file, single quote. Notice I get double quotes here. I am going to copy and paste the name of the file and where it is. Okay. Now, one of the things I can do as a test right here, file as, notice I'm using the autocomplete. So as file name is what I want. So I hit the down arrow and then I hit the tab to get that as file name. Now, one of the things I can do is file as file name. I can test it. Let me test this. I can say exists. Okay. So now I can highlight this and say print it. Well, first it wants me to declare that. I do. And it says true. Okay. So I know I have the right directory and file name. Good. Okay. File as file name. I want to get a read stream, which gives me a stream in order to read in. And I'll call this file stream. Okay. Control S, temporary variable. Now here's one best practice. I can say I want to execute this code like I'm doing here. I can get double quotes, self-unemployment data. This is a good practice because now I can simply come here, move the cursor just inside the double quotes, highlight this, and say debug it. So now I can go, this is single step, step through, and this is for stepping over blocks. I'm going to choose this because I want to go into the method. And here I am, file, and I can see the file here. File stream right now is nil. Let's change that. And I have the file stream. So, and I can actually, I don't have to code here. I can code in this. This is live development. So what I can do here is write code, save it, compile it, and test it immediately, which of course is one of the big advantages of Smalltalk. I want to read in the lines of that file, and I'm going to put them in an ordered collection new. Okay, let me accept this right in here, right in the debugger. And I can execute this, execute this, execute this. Okay, I've got file stream lines. Everything looks good. What's next? Well, I want to say now I'm going to create a block, say file stream at end. While false, what do I want to do? Well, I want to say lines add tab. So I'm using the autocomplete. Let's see, open paren file stream up to character line feed. I'm going to go to the end here, put a period. I'm going to accept this. Now, if I want to run all this, I can click right here, and then say run to the cursor. Okay, let's see. Are my lines populated? Yes, they are. Wow, check this out. So my first line is date. Those are my columns. Okay. My second is the date and the value, the unemployment value. So there it is, the comma separated values. Okay, all looks good so far. So we just wrote code, we compiled it and saved it at the same time, then executed it, and then looked at the results. And the thing is, you can do this rapidly, which is just so attractive in Smalltalk because you can get things done really quickly. We saw the first line was columns. Let's say columns is lines, remove first, period. Okay, because we're not going to parse that, at least not in this iteration. Now, say I want to create all my lines, I want to create them as tokens. So I'm going to say line tokens is lines collect. I'm going to say each. Now, this is a best practice if what I'm naming this temporary variable, this block variable, is EA for each, for a collect iterator. Now, Name it specific if it adds value. If it's just a quick generic, a good best practice is just use each. And that's fine. That's terse. That's quick. You can use it frequently. So now I'm going to say to each line, give me your CSV tokens, which is actually a method that I wrote to enhance. I could do something else simple, but I'll talk more about that later. So now I have line tokens. Let's again accept that. We'll declare that as a temporary variable. It goes right up there. And I'm going to put the cursor here and execute all that. Let's see my line tokens. Okay, my first line token is an ordered collection. Here's a string with the date. Here's a string with the value. Okay, looks good so far. Now I want to get all the dates and all the values. So I'm going to say dates gets line tokens, collect from each token, collect each. Let's see, I want to create a date. So date, and it's in a format from years dash month dash day. And that's also something I created. Let's make that a little wider because I'd like it to be on one line. And see, I'm here, tab. Notice this placed, it knows what the parameter is. It's a date string. And if I tab, I will be right on top of that. And it's going to be each first. Because remember, each is an ordered collection, where the first item is the date string, which we can see right here. Put a period at the end, accept this, which compiles it. We created my temporary variable. Click to the end, execute it. Let's check out my dates. Okay, I've got dates. My first date is an actual date object whose year is 1948, and I'm the first day in 1948. Okay, great. And if I back up, I can see my last date is April 1st, 2023. Fantastic. I've got all my dates. Now, how about all my data values? Let's do the same thing. Line tokens, collect each, and here I want to get each last. That'll be the value in the line token. So in the first one, it'll be the string 3.4, but I want it as a number. So I'm simply going to say as number. Put a period there, accept this. Okay, execute it all. Here's my data. Okay, fantastic. I've got, and each one of these is a floating point number. Excellent. I've got that. What do I want to return? I want to return from this a series, which we created in another Hidden Gems, that has dates and data. Let's see, dates and data. Dates, data, here we go. Okay, I'm on date times. I want to give it the dates I created and the data I created. Excellent. Control S, accept this. Let's execute all the way down to here. And then let's highlight this and inspect it. What do I get? I get a series object that has data and dates. And if I look at self, it shows me basically the date and the data. So this is my series. So what have I done? I have created a method, unemployment data. Oh, remember the first thing we want right here? Let me put I can highlight this, or I can simply put the cursor at the end, and this is the inspect. Let's inspect that. What do I get? I get the unemployment series right here. So we did that fairly quickly. We downloaded the file. We implemented this method. We read it in, parsed it. Now, a couple of things I want to show you. Let's talk about some best practices and how can we improve this method? Well, if I look at the data here, okay, there's roughly, how many are there total? There are roughly, Well, let's ask it. Let's say self data size, print that. Okay, there's roughly 904. So if I create an ordered collection new, that actually creates the space for 5 items. And as I add to it, it will grow and grow and grow. However, slightly more efficient, let me give it space for 1,000. That'll give me some room to grow in the future. Now it will allocate space for 1,000 objects, and I won't need to constantly replace that ordered collection with a new, larger ordered collection. So that's a good idea. It will be slightly more efficient. If you know it, use it. It's a good practice. What else? Well, character line feed, we're executing that for every line. What if I can do this? I can basically take out that and say my line feed gets character line feed, and instead of executing that every time, I just execute it once, make that a temporary variable, and that's more efficient. Now here, it probably doesn't make much difference. This is very quick. It's a minimal execution. But if it was something that took a little bit more time, this is simply a good practice. Instead of executing it 1,000 times or 904, we execute it once and then use it. What else can we do? Well, columns, notice columns remove first. If I accept this, it says, hey, this isn't used. Should I remove this? And that's a warning. So I'm not using this, but this is kind of documentation as to what the first line is. And in the future, I might want to use those columns. So I've already got them. I already see what they are, and I can use that in the future. So I'm going to leave that just like that. One last thing to mention, and that is every time I call this, it reads the file. So if I'm using this constantly through the day or repeatedly, I might want to read it in and cache it. So I read the file in once, keep it as an object in my application, and then use that repeatedly rather than read it in each time. For our purposes right here, it doesn't make much difference. It's extremely fast to read in and parse that file. So not too difficult, and keeping things simpler is better. If it makes sense to cache it, cache it. If it doesn't, don't bother. Good design decision. So real quick to recap, we acquired and loaded the data. We wrote the method. I showed you how to write that live in the debugger in Smalltalk, so we could very, very quickly change the code, compile the code, execute the code, look at the result in seconds time. And again, if you're new to Smalltalk, this is one of the reasons it is so incredibly productive. You can get things done and enjoyable because you don't lose your train of thought. With just a few clicks, you've tried out your idea. If it took much longer, your mind might wander. You might lose your train of thought. So this keeps it keeps you in flow state and incredibly focused. We saw where we can get some economic data, the Federal Reserve Economic Data website. We showed you how to download that and parse and create the object. So next time we're going to show you some more ideas and improvements on how to make this better yet. But again, in a very short amount of time, we accomplished this. Until next time, have a great time with Cincom Smalltalk. Thank you.